So in today's video, we're going to be making these yummy salmon patties, a wheat bix slice, and a yummy self-saucing caramel banana pudding. Hey everyone, my name's Christy and welcome to my channel where we're going to look at the domestic side of life. So cooking, cleaning, groceries, all those kinds of things. And this morning I've been busy trying to tidy up my pantry a little bit and work out what foods are expiring or what's going bad that we have to deal with pretty soon, otherwise it's going to go to waste. And here's what I found. We have some very sad leftover bananas, which are well past enjoying eating. So we haven't made a dessert in a while, so we're probably going to turn that into a pudding or something tonight, maybe a banana caramel pudding, which is a favorite of ours. And when we refilled our cereal containers, there were so many crumbs. I filled up the wheat bix again, and there were so many crumbs that I didn't want to go into the bin, so I've just popped them into a bowl. Look at all of that. What a waste. So we're going to turn that into a wheat bix slice. And I have some extra potatoes from this week's grocery haul, which we probably won't get through with the meal plan that I have sorted out. So we might just see if we have time to take some of those potatoes, toss them with this big tin of salmon we picked up last week's grocery haul, and make ourselves some potato salmon patties. And they're always good for lunch, or maybe we'll try and pop them into the freezer. So let's get started. Now I know that there are a lot of wheat bix slice recipes, but look, my eldest daughter is actually 24 and I've been making this particular one since she was like in playgroup. I used to get asked to bring it to all the toddlers. They used to love it back then. So all I'm doing is melting about 4 tabs of margarine at the moment. If I already have the crushed wheat bix, just set that to the side. But if you need to, I'd use 5 or 6 and just crush them up with your hands. You're going to pop that melted margarine into the bowl with around 3/4 cup of sugar. I've always used raw sugar, but I don't think it matters. And about a tablespoon of honey, or golden syrup will work if you've got that and you don't have honey. I'm just going to add to that a cup of coconut, a cup of sultanas, and 1 beaten egg. Once I've combined those things, then I'm just going to add in a cup of self-raising flour and all those crushed wheat bix. And you just want to mix it around with the spoon as best you can. It can feel a little bit dry sometimes, the mixture, but that's okay. You just want to make sure that all the flour is properly combined. Then we're going to grease a sliced tin and just squish it into there. The oven should be preheating at around 150 degrees. So just quite a low heat. And we're going to pop this in somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes depending on your oven. Good. While that's doing that, I'm going to get started on these salmon patties. So around 5 or 6 potatoes and a couple of carrots. We're just going to peel and dice those and then get them boiling on the stove. These worked out really good. I had plans to keep these at home and pop them in the freezer, but a bit of a family emergency came up and I had to suddenly go to my mum's, and she'd had a really difficult couple of days with an ill family member. So it was great to be able to just take these, and she's got a quick light meal that she can, cook up in 2 minutes herself, and save her having to worry about cooking or anything like that. So these were really, really handy to have. And this week I'll probably make another batch for the freezer. So around the time that we got that going on the stove, we just have a quick check of our wheat bix slice and it's ready to come out. And it'll harden a little bit more after it comes out. And you want to start making your icing. So I've just quickly made a chocolate icing. My kids love the chocolate. So just a bit of icing sugar, a little bit of margarine, and a dash of butter with some cocoa. And you want to try and ice this while it's still warm if you can. It makes it so much easier. I like to sprinkle a little bit of coconut on top, and sometimes I'll pre-cut it. Otherwise, my son kind of makes a bit of a mess of it if he's trying to cut it himself. So there it is, all ready for the container. Now I'm going to continue with our fish cakes. So I'm just heading out to my garden to grab some spring onions. There they are, super fresh, straight from the front yard. So I washed that. We're just going to dice those up. I like them pretty fine if I can. The aroma of these was so strong. They were so fresh. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of fresh parsley here and chop that up as well. Although I do end up adding in some dried parsley as well because it's a lot easier, isn't it? So just get everything out there. That's just some lemon juice and some vegetable stock and a little bit of dried parsley. Grab that big can of salmon. We're going to drain that, mash it. And around this time, our potato and carrot mixture on the stove has got nice and soft, so we're just going to drain the water out of that. And continue on. So we're going to mash that together just with a potato masher. And then I find it easier to transfer it into a bowl, although really, if you wanted to save washing up, there's no reason why you couldn't just make it all together in your saucepan. I just find it a little bit easier to pop it into a glass bowl, which will then go straight into the refrigerator later because I like to let it sit there for a little bit to firm up. So I'm just going to pop the salmon in with the mashed potato and carrot, and then just going to add the shallots and the parsley, a little bit of vegetable stock powder, a little bit of lemon juice, and a tiny bit of pepper, an egg white, and just combine it all together. And that's sort of what that's looking like there. So it's got a lot of colour in it. It's quite not bad. So just pop that into the fridge to sit for half an hour, and seems like a good time to get hubby and I out some morning tea. So some of that Weet-Bix slice, there it is on the plate. Give it a taste test. Yep, that passes. Okay, so now we're going to get on with our banana caramel pudding. Now I have made this banana caramel self-saucing pudding quite a few times over the years, and I'm not sure exactly where I got the original recipe from, but I'm almost certain it'd be out of one of their Simply Too Good to Be True books. So all I'm doing at the moment is just beating a couple of egg whites with a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, adding a little bit of bicarb soda to a jar of baby apple, popping that in with the mixture, melting a couple of tabs of margarine. I like to melt them in the microwave, and I'm just going to add a 1/4 cup of skim milk to that when it's ready. Pop that into the mixture as well. And then it'll be time to mash up one of those really black looking bananas. They were surprisingly hard actually for how dark they looked. I really expected them to be mush, but they weren't at all. So it took a bit of effort actually to mash them up. This is a handy one. It's actually quite a quick little recipe, and it's stuff that you're probably going to have in the house. So good if people just suddenly come over. And in our house, we quite enjoy this either warm as a dessert, fresh from the oven, or even just cold the next day, straight from the fridge. It's not bad. Just adding in 1.5 cups of the self-raising flour here. I like to sift it in. And then you just sort of want to fold it through. You don't want to beat this up. And actually, it doesn't even matter if you can still see a little bit of the flour. Like it does not have to be whipped right in there. You want to be gentle, nice and gentle with it. And I'm just going to pop that into a casserole dish. Now, there is a bit of sugar in this recipe. So to create our self-saucing like on top, our sauce on top, we're pretty much going to use another entire cup of brown sugar, which is where we're going to get the caramel sauce from. So you're just going to sprinkle that on top. Then add in 1.5 cups of water. Just pour it right on top of there. And of course, when you pop it in the oven at about 180 for around half an hour, sometimes a little bit more, just check it in the middle and make sure it's cooked through. And that'll just sink right through to the bottom. So we better get back to these fish cakes. Now that they've been in the fridge for about half hour, they're a lot easier to handle and a little bit stickier too, if that makes sense. So I'm just taking big scoopfuls, about a really heaped tablespoonful, and just making them into patty shapes. I'll just cover that with cling wrap and pop them back into the fridge until we're ready to use them. I mean, you could crumb them right before you cook them if you like, but I don't find it's necessary. And here's our banana caramel pudding out of the oven. It smells really yummy. Thanks for joining me today in the kitchen, guys. And obviously this is a brand new channel, so if you like what you saw today, then be sure to give us a thumbs up. And don't forget, you can always leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, what kind of content that you might prefer to see. What are your favourite family meals? How do you use up old bananas? Let me know.